Booyah!
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Fringe. I kind of thought we were done talking about this. I thought we were past this, but yet again, we have to talk about the complete lack of respect given to our military and those who have fallen during yesterday's Remembrance Day services. Canada's identity is being erased. We've known this for a long time. Any protest that happens in the country of Canada currently has nothing to do with Canada. It has to do with everywhere else around the world, everything happening to everybody else. Anybody who has come here looking for sympathy for corrupt nations that abuse their people, that take money from our country to continue abusing their people and laundering it, and now we're being told that we should have guilt and shame for simply living here at a time when we should be honoring our fallen. That being said, no more dressing it up. Let's get right into it. I want to get into starting by failed woke leftist installed mayor, Jody Gould. It's a lot to put together. Standing outside in Calgary yesterday. This is part of what I'm talking about. We've talked about this on our live streams, which, by the way, if you haven't joined us for those yet, every Friday night with my beautiful wife, Mrs. Fringe, here starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 Central. Jody Gould is essentially doing across Canada all installed mayors, and you guys are going to see this trend. White guilt that you're not supposed to live on Canada's land, that we have to bow down and pander anytime we speak in public, anytime we're trying to live our lives. I've seen this at my kids' school. Every time they do an assembly, every time they start their day, they have to acknowledge their land. They have to acknowledge where they're living. I know I have Indigenous viewers. I don't want to insult anybody. It's just that the fact of the matter is we're all aware of Canada's history. Are we proud of it? No. But Americans have to do the same thing. If you look hundreds of years ago back at slavery, if you look at everything that happened in the United States' history, are they proud of it? No. The whole point of history is that we teach ourselves to not repeat the mistakes of our forefathers. I feel that there are bigger issues we could be handling right now to help the Indigenous that are clearly being ignored by our government, such as clean drinking water. Instead, we have to sit here and shame everybody as though we're supposed to pack up and leave. I'm just going to play a highlight of this 6-minute speech that our good friend Mocha has put together. Again, if you're not following Mocha on X, go give him a follow. He's fantastic. Always shows this kind of footage. He shows the stuff nobody else is getting. He does a really good job. Let's take a look at just a few seconds here.
These are greetings in the traditional languages of the Treaty 7 people who stewarded these lands for generations before many of us came to settle here. With Major Kirtar Singh Brad, who was my grandfather. He not only showed me love and kindness, I have been told the stories of his compassion and support to many displaced people who were forced to relocate during the partition of India many years ago. Good morning to all of you who have taken the time today to gather at the military museums to honor those who fought for our freedoms. And let me welcome you with Oki, Dadanastada, Ambawastich, and Tansei. These are greetings in the traditional languages of the Treaty 7 people who stewarded these lands for generations before many of us came to settle here.
So right there is the highlight of her speech. We can see where she talks later on about her grandfather and the partitioning of India. Not that that has anything to do with our veterans, but then telling us about, hey, we're going to look. I have no problem with her speaking in a native dialect, as again, it's part of our heritage. But when she says that it's basically, as this tweet spells out, Mayor Gondek faces criticism after reports emerged that she began her Remembrance Day speech by addressing everyone as settlers on someone else's land. I searched the internet and found this video. Here's the full speech. Again, the full speech is nothing more but pandering, but she does state how we should all realize we're on borrowed land. If you look at the comments here, a good friend of the channel, Jack Dan, she's got to be the worst mayor in Alberta's history. Rob Primo, sit down. No one wants to hear a word that comes out of your mouth anyway. Good friend of the channel, Aaron. Every time this woman speaks, I despise her more. how she talks about how native communities lived in harmony with nature and the land shows how she is literally taking the Kool-Aid of today and not looking at the facts that many of these tribes and communities were at regular battles with one another, took out other tribes, etc. Like, that is, again, part of Canada's history. People saying this is so wrong. Land acknowledgement is the leftist prayer that they have to say before every event. That, again, is the issue that I have. It's whitewashing. It seems that it's okay to be racist in today's society so long as you're anything but white. But if you're white and mention it, you're automatically racist. Now, that is a separate issue here. As we go on to show, again, how this continues in more cities with installed mayors. Before the city of Toronto got to pay respect to the fallen troops on Remembrance Day, city protocol manager Aretha Phillip took to the veterans and families through a history lesson of Canada's colonization of country, racism, and slavery. Again, using what's supposed to be a sacred day to virtue signal and pander, to just rub it in everybody's face. Hey, guess what? This is an uncomfortable part of our history. Let's take a listen.
I'd like to begin by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of these lands. It is important that we reaffirm our commitment and responsibility in improving relationships between nations and in learning about the rich history of this land to better understand our role as residents, neighbours, partners, and caretakers in this place we each call home. The City of Toronto acknowledges the land we are meeting on as the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit. We also acknowledge the Williams Treaties, signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. The City of Toronto acknowledges all treaty peoples, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants either in this generation or in generations past, and those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. We pay tribute to our ancestors of African origin and descent. In keeping with this tribute, during this Remembrance Week, the city commemorates.
So again, it gets cut off there. And again, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the low audio on both of those videos. Again, I tried to boost it as much as I could. The first one was taken from a cell phone. So again, I apologize if the audio was too low. But again, in cities like Toronto, where you have installed mayors like Olivia Chow, Calgary, you've got installed Jody Gould, the constant pandering. And again, this isn't just about acknowledgement of land. This is about a day that is dedicated to remembering the fallen, to acknowledging those who have served, to paying tribute to our freedoms, and those who paid the ultimate price for us to keep them. Ottawa MP Lisa MacLeod is now under a lot of heat as well. For the same reasons, yesterday Ottawa MPP Lisa MacLeod described the inclusion of an Arabic song at Remembrance Day service as an egregious incident requiring disciplinary measures. This person is saying, send a letter to stress that this kind of divisive and deeply inappropriate rhetoric coming from an elected leader is utterly unbefitting of anyone trying to lead the people of Ontario. It fuels harmful stereotypes. It marginalizes communities. There's no place for this behavior in Ontario. They cannot be silenced. There cannot. Dyslexia is kicking in. Sorry, guys. There cannot be silence in the face of it. Send a letter today. Let's take a look at this action alert that's being brought out against Lisa MacLeod. Today at Sir Robert Borden High School, the Remembrance service included a song in Arabic which did not follow the Royal Canadian Legion protocol and also distressed all of the Jewish students. I have spoken with Ottawa Carleton District School Board Director of Education, Pino Buffane, who shared my anger, disappointment, and utter confusion on how Remembrance Day at the school whose namesake was prime minister during World War I, could be this wrong. Pino advised me in a letter to that is forthcoming from the principal, who was given this song by a Palestinian teacher. I am assured the principal will take responsibility for this egregious incident. I have requested disciplinary measures. Further asked that an apology to the Royal Canadian Legion and to the Jewish school family members be included. To my comrades in the Legion, thank you for your service. To my Jewish constituents, I'm sorry your kids had to go through this. Again, raising these kind of concerns during a Remembrance Day assembly, we've talked about this to great extent, again, with prayer bans. We had another video talking about how another school had told military veterans not to come in uniform because it made those who came to our country uncomfortable. I'll say it for the third time. War is supposed to be uncomfortable. You're supposed to feel uncomfortable. We should be able to grow and learn from our mistakes and live in a world free of any kind of threat or free of any kind of tyranny. Unfortunately, we have a leader in office that disagrees with that stance and finds that sometimes putting their boots on your neck is sometimes the easiest solution when it comes to a functioning government. However, ladies and gentlemen, I have to ask the question, and that's today's question down in the comments. Is Canada's identity being erased? Are we being invaded? Now, I've given my opinion multiple times, and again, I don't mean to spread divisiveness. I don't want to make anybody feel that I dislike anybody based on where they've come from, their history, or anything else. I think that at some point in time, we just all have to be people. We all have to be Canadian, and we all have to live on this land and say, you know, if you want acknowledgement, we can give some time for that, but it doesn't have to be every single time we open our mouths and speak. This shaming of the public has to stop. It only stops. Racism only stops when we stop talking about it all the time. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. Is it disgraceful? I think it is. If it's your first time here, I hope this video has earned your subscription. Make sure as you're clicking that button down below, you hit your bell for notifications. Again, join us live every Friday for Friday Night Fringe, starting at 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, here on the channel every week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you on the next one.